And this is specifically for my people who want to transition into tech from something completely different. You're thinking that I can get this certification, from Google, or I can go get a Scrum Master certification, or I can go get a PMP. And that is going to be enough for people to give you the chance to jump over, to their into their pond. It's not enough. Today we're talking about why your career pivot is taking so long. I got 4 reasons, and we're gonna talk about a little bit about what to do about it. And I'm coming for edges today. I am coming for edges today. So sit tight. Shots might be fired, but it is all for your benefit. It's all out of love. I'm a tough love kind of person. And I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm going to keep it all the way real, because what I know is that without somebody keeping it real with us, we can't make change. We can't make movement. So, and I'm all about, making moves. If you're new around here, my name is Gerrie. I am a engineer turned engineering manager turned career coach. I have 18 years of experience. I've made about 5 career pivots. So I know what it takes. I've had successful ones. I've had a couple of failed ones. And I've been working with clients over the last 2 years to help them make career pivots without all of the struggle that is common to most people. The first reason why your pivot is taking so long is because you don't know why you're making this pivot. Why are you trying to get into the role that you're trying to get into? I have talked to at least 100 people in my DMs this week, at least. And a lot of people want to get into tech. A lot of people want to jump from this role to that, or from education over to something in the world of tech, or you're in STEM and you just want to do something different. But why? And it's not enough to say the job looks cool and maybe they make more money. That's what you see on the surface. That's good enough to spark your interest, but it's not going to get you through an interview process. When you're trying to get through the interview process, and when I talk about uncovering your unique value, you need to have a story behind why you're doing these things. One of the first questions I ask, and one of the things I really look for as a hiring manager, I've managed over 100 people at this point. One of the things I look at when I'm interviewing, or when someone says, I want to make a career pivot, why? Why are you here? When you get in an interview, if the person can't understand why you're here, your points are already way down, right? One of the first things that my clients do is they have a brand statement. So when someone asks them, tell me about yourself, they're walking through, the strategy. They're walking through several parts of the question. But the very last thing they're going to say is, and I'm looking to get into this role because sometimes what makes the difference between you getting the job and the next person getting the job is that the other person did a better job of convincing the hiring team that they wanted to be here and that they had a real reason for wanting to be here, that it was going to be of value to them as a person. Because these employers, they've been at this a long time, right? You can't fool them, right? They don't want butts in seats. They don't want people, who just want the sexy title, who just want to say they worked at Google, who just want to say they worked at Apple. They're like, do you even care about what we're doing? Because the reality is that if you don't care about, problem is that the role is really responsible for solving. If you don't really care about that, if it doesn't, affect you personally in your life in any way, you're probably not going to give it your all. You might not even give it 50%, right? After you get that sexy title, after you get that, that first direct deposit hits, you might be bored again. So the very first reason why your pivot, it might be taking so long, is because you haven't really dug deep and done the work, the internal work that you need to do to figure out, why am I trying to do this? And then be able to have a clear, crisp sentence that you can explain to somebody else. The second reason why your pivot may be taking, not maybe, why it is taking so long, is that you're afraid to really start at the bottom. You're afraid to really start at the bottom. And I have a really quick story about that. I went to get an MBA when I said I wanted to leave STEM altogether. I was done with engineering in my mind. I said I was done with it. And I said, I'm going to go get this MBA and I'm just going to pivot over to marketing. And so I finished the MBA. I started interviewing. I was getting no success. This is the one failed transition that I had. And I got on a call with someone and she said, she snatched my edges right on out. And she said, Gerrie, you are super talented. You have this engineering thing down. But if you want to transition into marketing, they're going to want you to start at the bottom, because it is a huge jump, from where you are right now. You don't have the story. They're going to want you to start at the bottom. And at that point, I was already making six figures. I couldn't go down, to entry level salary, entry level responsibility. And so I was afraid to start at the bottom. So I didn't do it. I got rid of that whole plan and went back to square one and figured out what I was really going to do with my MBA. And so I say all that to say that the people who want to transition into tech, and this is specifically for my people who want to transition into tech from something completely different, you're thinking that I can get this certification, from Google, or I can go get a Scrum Master certification, or I can go get a PMP. And that is going to be enough for people to give you the chance to jump over, into their pond. It's not enough, because a lot of people, you're applying for jobs online. You're looking at these jobs on LinkedIn. Are these even entry-level jobs? Right? You went and got the certification and you're thinking that, you're just going to apply, drop your name in the hat for the job posting that's here on LinkedIn, and somebody's going to take you seriously. If you want to make a huge jump, you have to start at the very, very bottom. And what the very, very bottom looks like is an internship. Getting someone to give you direct experience. And so that's why a lot of people who want to make a career pivot, if you skipped over why you're actually trying to do this, you're so busy running away from the problem that you've chosen, the thing that you think you want to pivot into. It's 4 or 5 or 6 steps away from where you are right now. And so pivots are 100% possible. I help people pivot every day. But you really can only go about 1 or 2 steps at a time. You really can only go 1 or 2 steps at a time. And so if you are a teacher, right, and you've been teaching history, and you go get you go to a programming boot camp, it's a huge jump going from history teacher to software developer, right? We need to map out a strategy that's an actual path to getting there, right? And unless you want to go, and apply for somebody's internship, or, some other possibly unpaid opportunity so that you can actually jump 6 steps. But if you don't want to start at the very bottom, you got to come back and you got to reroute. You can still get there 100%, but we're going to have to go about it a different way. And so my advice is, if that you don't want to start at the very bottom, we got to go back and we got to capitalize on what you got. And it doesn't mean that because you're a history teacher, you can't get into tech. It means that you're not going to become a software developer. It means that we need to pick something else that's more closely aligned to what you have been doing. And you probably could make that pivot very easily. My third point is that you are really not willing to make the investment that's necessary to make the jump. Because I've been having a lot of conversations with people about, not being able to afford what they need to take them to the next level. And that's a mindset thing. But you can't afford it because you've told yourself you can't afford it. You're not going to put your problem solving abilities on to figure out how to make it happen. I produced a video about why getting another degree and why getting another certification is not enough. And I say it's not enough because although that's an investment, it's only part of the investment. When you go get your Scrum Master certification, is there any portion of that program that talks to you about how to use this certification to get your next role? Is there any talk about how, these are jobs that you can apply for after you get this certification? And even, to be honest, 4-year programs, depending on how your school is set up, there may be no feed in for you, right? You get this degree, they're not talking about what to do with it next. And so a lot of people are, confused that but I made an investment in myself. It was only part of the investment. You still need to figure out how to take this, how to take the new skill, the new certification, the new degree. You still need to figure out how to use it and how to use it to your advantage so you can position yourself for these roles that you want. My fourth point, why your career pivot is taking so long, is that your actions do not match your desires. You are not really, really willing to do what it takes to get where you want to go. You're looking at other people on LinkedIn. You're comparing yourself. You're saying, I saw, so-and-so, they just took their green banner down and, they made the jump. But do you really know what they did, right, to get there? They may have made that additional investment. They may have someone in their network who was able to help them. They may have even, gotten out of their nerves and started talking to strangers on LinkedIn to make it happen. And so what I want to be abundantly clear to everybody is that applying for jobs, scouring LinkedIn, applying for jobs, liking and commenting on posts, that's not enough. It's cool, right? You may soak in some information, but that's not really taking an action. And action is, an extension, right? What's that little bit of an extra that I can put in? What next step can I take beyond just dropping my application in and saying that, I didn't hear back? So if you went and got that certification and it hasn't resulted in what you want, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do? If you're trying to make your career pivot this year, I want you to make a list of everything you've done, to every action that you've taken to make that career pivot happen. Every action. And I want you to look at that list and I want you to come up with one thing that's not on that list that you're going to do next. Because it's all about, what have I done? How can I tweak? What have I done? How can I tweak? This is your first exercise. What's one thing that's not on that list? Or what's something that you can tweak and do differently to see, put that in place and see if it changes the narrative at all.